My name's Gordon Dedman and welcome to another episode of Bushcraft Survival. Today we're going to be looking at how to light a fire using paperbark and a Ferrocerium rod, also known as a sparking tool or a metal match. Here is the paperbark tree, or melaleuca, of which there are several species in Australia. And the bark on this is, as the name suggests, is a very papery type bark, excellent for a variety of uses, in particular fire lighting, and that's what we're going to use today to start our fire. Simply, a Feroccium rod is just an alloy of metals, a composite of different metals, which produces a very hot spark. There are many different types of Ferroccium rods. I've got a few here for you to have a look at. They come in a variety of sizes and types for that matter. They all have a striker, which is usually a blade of some description, must have a 90-degree angle to produce sparks. They emit a very hot shower of sparks. We have little small bitty ones like that. Using the back of my knife blade, that will produce a nice shower of sparks. I also have a different type on my necklace with some of my essential 5-piece kit. And once again, I have a little mini sparking device on here which will produce a shower of sparks. All of these Ferroccium rods, you only really need one, but you can carry it on your person. They can get soaking wet and they still work, unlike matches or a cigarette lighter. They really are wonderful. If you've got a knife and a Ferroccium rod on your person, you can create fire at any time if you know how to get the tinder and everything else prepared correctly. And they can be purchased at any good camping store. So it's really worthwhile having. Before we actually have a look at starting our fire and how to light a fire, what you see in front of you is my preparation. And preparation is absolutely key. If you don't prepare, you'll find that you'll fail every time when you come to light a fire. The first thing I've done is I have a platform of parallel sticks, about thumb thickness. It insulates the fire from the cold, damp ground. It also provides a way of getting oxygen underneath the fire early on and an early heart to the fire because we already have fuel laid down. Failure to do so in a cold, wet environment can be the difference between success and failure in fire lighting. The next step is we need lots of dead, small matchstick size twigs for kindling. Very important. After that, we move up to pencil size kindling, thumb thickness, and then we go up in size right up till we get forearm size. This is all laid out ahead of time, because if you don't do that, if you get a fire and your preparation isn't done properly, you're going to fail at fire lighting. The other part of our preparation is to have our tinder well prepared. In this case, as mentioned, we're going to be using paperbark from the melaleuca tree. I'm going to take my paperbark. Now I can either take it in my hands and buff it up like that. That's going to take a spark beautifully that way. The other way I can get a spark from that is to get a bit of paperbark, and using my knife I can buff it up like that to produce a fine powder. We can use many different sorts of barks finely done the same way in this method. There are two different ways to produce sparks with this. One way is to anchor your hand firmly against the ground and with your left hand pull back on the rod. That way we're not going to push our hand into the tinder and destroy our tinder bundle, and a lot of people do that. The other way of doing it is just with your thumb and the tip of the knife blade, bearing in mind I'm using the back of the knife, not the blade. I can, pushing very forcefully with my thumb, I can push off shavings of the Feroccium rod onto the tinder. So there's two ways of doing that. Pulling back or just using our thumb. Because this is buffed up very, very finely, all I need to do is just that first way. I get a good anchor point with my hand and then pulling back. Doesn't take much. While that's burning, I'm going to quickly put my knife away because we don't want to lose it, as well as our Feroccium rod. my tinder on top. Split my bundle in two, crisscrossing it over the top. Now, it's very important at this stage, and a lot of people fail to do this. You only add more wood once the flames come through the top. A lot of people put two pieces of wood that are way too big on way too soon, and all that does is snuff the fire out because it can't get enough oxygen. The fuel is too big. So we wait for the flames to come through the top, and then we add our next layer of fuel. Once again, I split it in two, and I crisscross it over the top. Now from here, I can go away and leave this fire for 5 minutes. This is quite a sustainable fire at this stage. I know this is not going to go out. The aim is to be able to light a fire like this in under 5 minutes. Once the flames come through the top, I'm going to add our next layer. For this next layer, instead of putting on the top just another variation, I can go stacking them around the side in teepee fashion. That fire is going to last quite some time now before that wants to go out. And I've got much more wood at hand around here to use now. Now I can boil some water, I can cook. One thing I failed to mention before is before I even started to light the fire, I cleared the whole area down to bare earth, at least 2 to 3 meters away from the center of the fire. Very important to make sure we have it cleared down to bare earth to prevent, obviously, any flames escaping. We prevent bushfires, particularly in Australia. So it's very, very important that we're very safe and our preparation is correct in that manner. My name's Gordon Dedman. I hope you've enjoyed this episode on how to light a fire using paperbark and a Ferrocerium rod, and I look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Bushcraft Survival.